Hi everyone, it's Shakti Durga, and welcome to this episode of the Soul Talk podcast. Each episode's going to feature some of the highlights from live trainings, retreats, online classes, and presentations that I've done around the world. If you find value in it, please text the link to the podcast to a friend or share it with your networks. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Namaste.
We came up with all these different types of difficult people. And whilst I don't particularly want to go there with you today, what we came with was 4 basic motivations of people who are being difficult in our life. And I think that this applies as much in the personal realm as it does in the business realm. It applies whether we're dealing with our children. And let's face it, if anybody's raised children to adulthood, I think you need a medal, don't you? And I once heard someone say that it doesn't matter how hard you try to raise your kids and do the best you can, they're still going to end up in therapy and blame you for everything. And that's just a reality that you have to accept. And once you accept that, you can relax and just get on with doing your best. Anyway, so these 4 things were what we came up with as driving the most difficult behaviours that we get to meet in the world around us. So these 4 behaviours are control. I have to be in control. If I'm not in control, I'm going to freak out. So there's the first one. Perfectionism. For some people, it's not so much about being in control of others, but it's about everything has to be perfect. And if everything's not perfect, they freak out. And they get scared, and they get demanding, and they get on their high horse about things, and they can't accept anything less than absolute perfection. The next group of people that we find when we're dealing in relationships and having issues is the approval seekers. So approval seekers are the people who just need to be told all the time how great they are. And without that, they're always needy and seeking that approval. That there's a big hole in here that they're trying to fill with approval, but it never seems to work. And often overachievers, the superwoman, the superman, sometimes it's fed by, I want approval. I want to be known for this super person. And approval drives the person. And then the final big driver that we looked at was attention seeking. So attention seeking may not be necessarily for approval. You can have people who seek attention who couldn't give a rat's what you think about them. They just want to be the centre of attention. And they demand that they are. And they'll do anything to be the centre of attention. If you don't give them attention in a good way, they'll take it in negative ways. And so I wonder if you had to break it down, what would you say would be the main driver? And I only want you to pick one in the situation that you just discussed with the people that you were with. So I want you to get back in that group again, and I'd like you to try and figure out, are you in a situation where control is the driver or where perfection is? And sometimes perfectionists can seem controlling, but they're not actually wanting to control you. They just want it to be perfect. It's their idea of perfection. That's right. Thank you, Ganga. Do you understand? And you might say, well, some people want to be perfect so they can be approved of. So you can see that there can be Venn diagrams going on here. But we're just going to try and tease this a little bit and say, well, in the situation I'm in, what is the thing that this other person is looking at? And then if you had to say, well, what does that trigger in me? Given that we're all everything, we're all these amazing beings and we have our dark and our light and our shadow and our sunlight. Which one of these is your go-to place that when things get difficult, that you find yourself needing? Do you need to be in control? Do you need everything perfect? Do you need everyone to approve? Do you need attention? Think of when the chips are down. Not in average, ordinary times, but when the chips are down. where do you tend to go?
Thanks for joining me on this episode of Soul Talk. I hope the podcast has served you in creating a happier and more abundant life. If you've enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favourite podcast app. If you'd like to connect with me, head over to shaktidurga.com.